What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we are doing the 81st installment of Retro Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing my Gemini Jets 1-200 scale Ozark Airlines McDonnell Douglas DC-9-15. My first time ever reviewing a Gemini 200 model, or a 1-200 scale model in general on Retro Reviews, and it's only fitting that I do a model that carries quite the story to tell. So as I mentioned in the massive unboxing video from Airliners International 2025, there's this huge collection of airline memorabilia that exists, at least at the last two conventions anyway, called Slimmerville. And if you don't know what Slimmerville is, if you know who Chris Slimmer is, he's a big guy that collects aviation memorabilia, a lot of it, and has anything from safety cards to timetables to a lot of glasses and dishes, plates, silverware, basically anything that you can put an airline logo on. He also has a lot of posters and like various advertising stuff that existed. But airplane models are typically not on the palette for Slimmerville, though this year I did note that there were a lot of the little Shabak 1-600 scale models and some various like the very old die-cast airplanes before 1-400 scale became a thing. And embedded within it were a couple of Gemini 200 models. Now, I saw this particular one towards the end of the second day of the convention, so this was the Friday, and the price on this bad boy was $60. Now, it's a really good deal for one of these because typically they go for way more on eBay. And as a matter of fact, just to prove my point, I'm going to go onto eBay right now and actually see if there are any for sale, because typically I don't really browse much in the way of Gemini 200 models because I don't collect 1-200 predominantly. But at least from my experience, yeah, see, there's a couple, at least one listing anyway. It's from Panda Fox Toys, mind you, and it's $230, which is not exactly what I am on the lookout for. So I don't want to spend that much for a model of something like this. Now, if I check some completed listings, it doesn't look like that there are any that happened recently, though. North Central DC-9, apparently there's one on eBay. A Gemini 200 North Central DC-9. And it is only $134. Wow, so I may have to see how that one turns out. So that would be nice to get, because I do have the Convair 580, and I will review that in a future retro review episode. So yeah, sorry about the bit of the little side tangent there. But anyway, as I mentioned, I saw this on the second day, towards the end of the second day on Friday of the convention. But I ran out of cash because I brought only a certain chunk of cash with me each day, except the first day because I didn't have time to get any. So since I didn't have any cash on me, I asked them to hold this model for me until the next day. So Saturday comes around, I get some more cash, and I buy it. And that's when I was told of another Gemini 200 model that they had sitting around. It was over in that same area, though I didn't notice it initially. And that, of course, was the North Central one, which, as I've said, I will have a retro review episode on that a little later on down the line, just to space out these Gemini 200s, because I don't want to do them consecutively, and just to make sure that I have a nice spacing with Airliners International 2025 models here. So there we go. I bought the Ozark first and then the North Central immediately after. When I saw that, I flipped out. And now I've got two very awesome Gemini 200 models, which I did not expect to walk away with. Now, of course, they did have to ship all these models back, so I had to wait a few days before I could actually unbox them. But my God, they are absolutely amazing. So I'll go ahead and get started with the box, which if you're a 1-200 collector, you'll have these boxes memorized like the back of your hand. We've got the Gemini 200 logo there in gold, then a stripe, a little white stripe for the airline branding, image of the aircraft, and then the aircraft type, 1-200 scale die-cast aircraft model, and the item number is G2OZA401. There's the bottom of the box with the little button and some advertising stuff there. So just open that. And then the flap underneath has nothing in it. And then there's the styrofoam, which would house the aircraft, and then also the stand, which I've always heard that these Gemini200, the little tripod stands, they are not very sturdy and are susceptible to breaking and probably breaking the model as well. So I don't use them. I just always keep the models on the ground. Here's the left side of the box with the Gemini200 logo, 1/200 scale die-cast model, image of the plane, aircraft type, then the item number again. Top of the box, which has the barcode, adult collectible model warning, and then that side. And then there is the back of the box. 2017 release. This is released in February, which I believe was the same month that they did the first American A320, which I did fly. So 2 great models out of that release. And then, of course, the price tag right up there, $60, which, you know, I still can't believe I got it for that. And it was actually a bit of a discount, too, since it was the last day. So I actually only paid $50 for each of those Gemini200. So $100 total. Really good deal for those 2, because even for the North Central, because obviously I'm going to be doing that video much later, but if I do just a quick eBay search and see if there are any active ones, there's one North Central Condor 580, starting bid of $375, or one for $550. Why do people want to pay that much for this? That's ridiculous. And one sold for $439 in late April. So, like I said, I made like the steal of the year at Airliners International. If there was a competition for, you know, who got the best deal in terms of airplane models at the convention, I probably would win that. You know, not to toot my own horn or anything, but that would certainly be something that could be considered at future conventions. But obviously, you know, deals and whatnot, it's a very subjective thing to talk about, so it'd be hard to like grade or rate any of them on a proper scale. But I think at the end of the day, what's more important is that we love these models and we love getting good deals on them. And especially for me, getting them for $100 total is a hell of a deal. A very remarkable one at that. But there she is, Ozark DC-9-15. This is the second ever Ozark DC-9 delivered to the airline, November 971 Zulu. I have its sister ship in 1/400 form, made by Aero Classics back during the Gen 1 days of the brand, when they had the little screw in the belly, which I do have a retro review on if you want to go check that out. I acquired that at the 2023 Airliners International Show in Dallas. Starting up at the front, we have the black nose cone. We have the anti-glare shield there, cockpit windows, and then the nose gear door, which has the last 2 letters of the fleet code. There's the nose gear itself. The wheels, they do roll, at least on the nose gear, but on the main gear they are very stiff. That moves us towards the L1 door, where you have a little Douglas DC-9 logo right there, the tiny Ozark titles, and then that green swoop starting to come into play. One antenna up there, and then a second one down there, along with a couple panel details underneath. Now, I believe this was actually polished. I'll just Google a quick photo of the real-life aircraft when it was with Ozark. Actually, no, it was painted with a gray underbelly, so good detail there caught by Gemini Jets. I thought these were polished. I think they might have changed to that later on, but perhaps initially they were just painted gray underneath before they switched to just the aluminum finish underneath. So either way, great detail caught there by Gemini, and applaud their efforts as always. There's a second antenna under there, along with the molded beacon right above the overwing exit door right there. And it takes us to the rear. We have another little circle thing right there, and there's also another beacon underneath that looks great. Main gear right there as well. There's the engines. Registration is November 971 Zulu. And then that takes us to the tail with the very lovely 3 swallows. And then bring us over to the other side of the aircraft. It's just so awesome holding a 1/200 DC-9. I never thought I'd get one, but hey, that's what Airliners International does to you. There's the right side of the aircraft with a smaller R1 door, luggage door right there. Another view of that second antenna just underneath. And then there's also the second luggage door just underneath the engine. And then the 3 swallows tail right there. Very, very nice. This is a lovely model. I don't understand why we don't get more of the short 9s in 1/400. honestly surprises me. Aero Classics and I think like Net Models or Jet X are the only ones to have made it in that scale. So, Gemini200 doing really good here with their larger scale offering is great, but we need more 1-400. There's the underneath of the aircraft with the Gemini Jets logo, and then the stand hole, which has a little ring around it for that tripod stand, but obviously I'm not going to use that. I don't want to break it or the model. And then the top of the aircraft, you can see the molded beacon and all of the applicable wing details. Very, very nice, especially for a model of this size. And for its release 2017, which I thought it was a slightly older model, but hey, worked out pretty well. So this model has been around for as long as I've been doing YouTube, essentially, because I started the month before, or at least right on the last day of that month before, January 31st. And then February marked my first full month of YouTube action. So now let's take a look at the real-life aircraft's history. This first flew on May 24th of 1966 and was delivered to Ozark a couple of months later. It was leased from various companies throughout its history as well. One of the ones that I noted was Southwest Pacific Investment in 1986, the same year that TWA bought out Ozark. That transfer took place in October. And TWA kept it for another 13 years after, withdrawn from use in November of 1999, and then transferred to the International Airlines Support Group out of Atlanta, only fitting there, in 2000. And then sometime after that, it was scrapped, registration canceled in 2017, which is the last report that I have of this aircraft. And that will do it for this episode of Retro Reviews. My first 1-200 model and only fitting that I did, one from Airliners International. Such a phenomenal time and content still rolling out from it. This weekend you'll be seeing my United 777 trip report from Denver to Chicago as part of the larger Airliners expedition trip that I took with Connor and Anderson from CM Aviation and Syracuse Aviation respectively. Can't say enough nice things about them and also the trip itself, so be sure to check out all the videos because it will certainly speak for itself better than if I just talk about it in summary. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.